The church bells rang that morning, but I wasn't hearing them. I was standing by a tiny coffin, my hands shaking so hard I couldn't even fix the crooked white flowers placed on top. My son, Ethan, only 9 years old, gone. The air was heavy, filled with whispers of neighbors, distant family, even strangers who had heard about the accident. But the two people I expected needed to see, weren't there. I glanced at the door every few minutes, praying, begging inside. They'll come, they can't ignore this, they'll have to show up. But every time it was just another family friend, another sympathetic handshake, another headshake of pity. My sister, Clarissa, wasn't there either. She had promised Ethan she'd come to his 10th birthday, but she couldn't even make it to his funeral. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video? Halfway through the service, as I tried to hold my body upright against the storm inside me, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mom. Hope it goes well. Don't expect us. Cancun is beautiful this time of year. We deserve it after putting up with your drama. My legs went weak. I almost dropped my phone right there on the pew. I opened the picture attached. It was them, Mom and Dad in sunglasses, drinks in hand, standing beside Clarissa on a beach with turquoise water behind them. All three were smiling wide, their faces glowing with sunburn and cruelty. At the bottom of the message, Dad had written, "Life is for the living. Quit clinging to dead weight. You always made us miserable, now your kid's gone too. At least we have Clarissa." My hand shook so violently I nearly hurled the phone across the church. But I didn't. I tucked it into my pocket, my nails digging into my palms until they left half moons in my skin. The pastor was speaking, but his words blurred into noise. I could only hear my parents' voices sharp, mocking, like knives tearing through me. Life is for the living. Quit clinging to dead weight. Tears streamed silently down my face as I kissed the coffin before they lowered it into the ground. I felt the whole world collapsing, but at the same time, something darker rising inside me. Something Ethan would never have wanted me to carry, but it was already burning too strong. That night, I sat in my dark apartment, surrounded by Ethan's toys, the action figures lined up on his shelf, the soccer ball by the couch, the sketchbook he'd scribbled superheroes in just days before. I held his last drawing in my hands, and I swore out loud, my voice hoarse. They'll never smile like that again, not while I'm alive. They chose Cancun over him, over me. They'll pay. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I planned. For once, I wasn't going to cry while they laughed. For once, it would be their turn to look over their shoulders, to feel the world crumble, to lose everything they thought was untouchable. I didn't leave the apartment for days. Neighbors knocked with food, some with flowers, but I couldn't open the door. All I could see was Ethan's last smile and the glowing photo of my parents, mojitos in their hands while I buried their grandson. But eventually they came to me. Not for comfort, not for apologies. 3 days later, while I was still wearing the same black dress from the funeral, my doorbell rang. I opened it, and there they were, Mom, Dad, and Clarissa, bronzed from their vacation, luggage still in hand, all three of them smirking. "Well," Mom said, adjusting her expensive sunglasses, "you look even worse than usual. Grief doesn't suit you either." Clarissa snorted, rolling her suitcase inside like she owned the place. Dad's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Did you at least get a good turnout? Or did people come just to make sure you weren't making a scene?" I froze in the doorway. They walked in without waiting for an invitation. Clarissa glanced at Ethan's toys on the shelf, wrinkling her nose. "You still haven't cleaned this junk up? He's gone. Donate it. Or better yet, toss it. No one needs reminders of accidents." My stomach turned. I couldn't breathe. Then Mom's voice cut sharper than any knife. "We came back for something important, not for him, not for you, but for us. The inheritance." I blinked. "Inheritance?" Dad laughed, clapping his hands together once. "Don't play dumb. Ethan had that small life insurance policy from school, didn't he? 5 digits, maybe more. It should go to family. Real family, which means us, not you, not that boy. He already wasted enough of our time. My knees nearly buckled. They were standing in the home where my son's drawing still hung on the fridge, and they were talking about money. I whispered, my voice trembling. You didn't even come to his funeral. You were in Cancun. Mom's lip curled. Funerals are for fools. You expect me to sit in some cold church watching you cry like a pitiful animal? No, I prefer champagne. Besides, she glanced at Clarissa, eyes glinting. Your sister needed us. She's alive. She matters, not your dead weight. Clarissa smirked, running her polished nails along Ethan's soccer ball. She's right. You've always been a nobody. Ethan was a copy of you. Weak, soft, useless. The room spun. I backed into the wall, gripping the edge of the table so hard my knuckles went white. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab every single one of them and throw them out. But instead, I stayed quiet. Because in that silence, something else formed. A storm. A plan. Dad leaned in, his breath thick with liquor. You're going to hand it over. Whatever little policy or savings were in his name. Don't make this harder. You've always been nothing but a leech. Don't prove us right again. For the first time, I looked him straight in the eye. And I smiled. Not out of joy, not out of weakness, but because I realized something they couldn't see. They thought they'd broken me. They thought I was done. But they had no idea that every cruel word, every insult, every laugh while I bled inside was just sharpening me. That night, after they finally left, after Mom stuffed leftover food into her purse like she hadn't just spit on Ethan's memory, after Clarissa tossed Ethan's sketchbook on the floor and called it scribbles, after Dad slammed the door behind him muttering, pathetic, I sat alone in the dark. And I whispered to the empty room, to Ethan's ghost if he could hear me. They want everything? Fine. I'll give them something they can never erase. I'll make sure their precious lives turn to dust, not by screaming, not by begging, but by taking piece by piece until they're the ones clawing at the ground. I didn't cry that night. I didn't even shake. I pulled out a notebook, wrote down their habits, their patterns, their weaknesses. The vacation spots they bragged about, the accounts they used, the secrets they thought I never noticed. By the time the sun came up, I had the first brick of my revenge laid out. I wasn't going to just punish them. I was going to erase them exactly like they erased Ethan. I spent weeks pretending to be broken. Every time my parents called, I picked up with a flat voice. Every time Clarissa dropped by to gloat about some new dress or spa appointment, I just nodded. I let them believe I was weak, that I had given up, that I would eventually hand over Ethan's money. What they didn't know was that I was already dismantling their world piece by piece. First, I learned everything. Dad bragged after a few too many drinks at his favorite bar about some side hustles he wasn't supposed to have, things he hid from the IRS. Mom had her little luxury reselling scheme where she passed fake designer bags to her rich friends, pocketing the profits. And Clarissa? She used Dad's credit card like it was free candy, racking up debt he never even noticed because Mom kept the bills hidden. I wrote it all down, every detail, every slip of the tongue. Then I struck. One morning, while sipping my coffee, I filed anonymous reports. Not just one, dozens, tax fraud, insurance scams, counterfeit sales. I attached proof bank statements I'd quietly taken pictures of when they weren't looking, emails Dad left open on his laptop, voice recordings Clarissa carelessly made bragging to her friends. Within a week, government letters started arriving. Mom thought it was junk mail until the words investigation and audit appeared. Her face went pale for the first time in my life. But I wasn't finished. I went after their social circle next. The country club Dad worshipped, the only place he ever felt important. The brunch group Mom bragged to about her perfect daughter Clarissa. The fake friends Clarissa used to show off to online. I sent each of them carefully packaged anonymous tips, screenshots, audio clips, receipts, proof that my parents weren't who they pretended to be, proof that Clarissa wasn't glamorous, just a thief living on her dad's credit. By the end of the month, Dad's precious membership was revoked. Mom's clients stopped calling. Clarissa's online followers flooded her with comments like fraud and fake rich girl. But their true destruction came later. It was a Friday night when police cars rolled up to their house. Sirens lit up the lawn, neighbors staring from their porches. Officers walked inside and walked out with files, computers, and bags of evidence. Dad shouted at the officers, red-faced, "We're respected people! We don't deserve this!" Mom wailed, mascara streaking her face. Clarissa screamed about her privacy. I stood across the street watching from my car, a hoodie pulled low. I didn't smile. I didn't laugh. I just felt justice. But I wasn't done yet. Because destroying their reputation, their money, their fake power wasn't enough. They still had each other. They still had the bond of cruelty they had built against me and Ethan. So I went for the one thing they couldn't replace, trust between them. I left a small package on their doorstep. Inside, printed copies of everything. Mom's fake bag sales, Dad's tax evasion, Clarissa's credit theft. Each page stamped with one single line in bold. They gave you up first. I imagined them tearing through the papers and accusing each other, screaming into the night. And I know it worked, because a week later, neighbors whispered about fights so loud the whole street heard. Mom blaming Dad. Dad blaming Clarissa. Clarissa blaming both. Their once perfect little empire crumbled into chaos. And me? I disappeared. I sold my small apartment, packed Ethan's few belongings into 2 suitcases and left the city. Not running away, no. Starting fresh. Before I left, I visited their house one last time. I didn't knock. I didn't go inside. I just stood across the street watching the for sale sign planted crooked in the yard. The curtains inside were torn. The lawn was overgrown. The neighbors avoided eye contact. They had become the shame of the neighborhood. The important family everyone once envied was now nothing but a cautionary tale whispered over fences. I whispered into the cold evening air, "This is for you, Ethan. They erased you. So I erased them." Then I turned and walked away, and I didn't look back. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.